So being on YouTube, you'll be able to see your awesome hat, your AFL fantasy hat, which
Correct.
we'll get to. My Own the Dream hat, you'll be able to see the check.
Happy days. So you'll be able to see our Okinawa Dry.
The big sumo. So we're talking the Roos, Port, Tigers and the Saints this week.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much there is to talk about these
This
days.
is pretty much... this just all lined up. This is the bottom of the barrel because...
Is that the bottom four right there?
Well, almost, because I'm going to be very hard on Port Adelaide, but we'll get to that in a sec. So, in for the Kangaroos, your boy Caleb, the kid with the lid, trade Western Bulldogs. Jack Darling going to play game 300 against West Coast. That's amazing. Jacob Costanzi, trade from Sydney. Finn O'Sullivan, number 2 draft pick. Luke Parker, trade from Sydney. River Stevens, draft pick 67, father-son. Luke Urquhart, pick 57. Matt Whitlock, one of the Whitlock twins, pick 27.
He's the one they traded up for, and there was all the outrage.
Well, their first-round pick is gone. Out. Blake Drury, delisted. Hamish free. He definitely is free to play elsewhere. Hugh Greenwood, retired. Charlie Lazaro, delisted. Begoan Yuan, delisted. Tyler Sellers, delisted. Liam Shields, retired. Jaden Stevenson, retired. He was the rising star, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Curtis Taylor, delisted. And Taron Thomas, I've just left blank because he doesn't deserve to be put anywhere.
They're still giving him chances.
Well, they're not. No one's going to pick him up. He can go play for West Perth, but no one will pick him up.
We'll just not discuss him.
Average age, 23.6. The oldest, the youngest, last year, still the youngest. Average games played, 61.4. They were the most inexperienced last year. They're now the 16th. When you add Caleb, Darling, Parker, there is a lot of games in there. So, 12 players with 100 plus, 27 players with less than 50.
Yeah,
so
that's scary.
It is. There is a long way to go for these boys, but I'll read out my proposed team. I did find it tough, and Luke McDonald's there, and he can't be there. He just can't be there.
Yep.
But he's there for now.
Yep.
Probably should put Hardy in there, to be fair. Core, Logue, Archer, Caleb, Comben, McDonald, Bailey Scott, Harry Sheasel, Colby McKercher, Simpkin, Suvlaki, Luke Parker, Paul Curtis, Jack Darling, Cam Zerha, Tristan Cherry, Tom Powell, the Udall, Luke Davies, Udiak, Eddie Ford, Zane Dersma, Zach Fisher, Will Phillips, and I've got Hardyman on the bench. Long-term outs, Callum Coleman-Jones, Braden George, and unfortunately, George Wardlaw pinged out substantial string. Now, I like what Clarko is doing. He's obviously come in, stripped it right back, red raw. This is the bottom of the barrel. I can't even say he went through a year because he went on a sabbatical for a quarter of the year. But he's been through 3/4 of a year, and he now knows what he is working with. So what he's done, he has gone, I have some massive holes to fill in my side. I need people who are not only good people, but are good coaching players. So they've brought in a player on each line with a lot of experience to help coach these young players on the field, not only how to be AFL players training-wise off the field, but to teach them how to play on the field, because Clarko can't do that.
So that's all you hear about Jack Darling, right? Yeah. Off the field, the hardest trainer out there.
Yeah.
So standards.
Caleb Daniel is coming in to play that back role, which frees up Sheasel and McKercher to play elsewhere. Obviously, Zach Fisher can help. It didn't really work out for Zach that great last year, but he's got Caleb in the back line. He's got a very good kick.
Yes.
He can take the kick outs. He can help direct traffic down there.
Yep.
They've brought Luke Parker in, very young midfield, Sheasel, Scott, Powell, Wardlaw when he's there, Davies Uniacke, hopefully he re-signs. But Luke Parker's there to help guide them and help them with their centre bounce structure and help direct on the field. You've then got, obviously, Jack Darling. Nick Larkey needed some support.
Yes.
We had him for the Coleman last year. Obviously, they did terrible, but he was the only man there, so they stuck someone in front of him. It was terrible. Darling, whilst not at his prime, works hard, drops marks that he tries to mark, but he competes.
Yes.
And I foresee Darling playing that backup ruck role. So you have Suvlaki at full forward, you have Darling at a full pocket, you have Cam Zerha floating in between, and Darling can play a pseudo sort of Luke Jackson role where he is a key forward.
He's very athletic, and
he is.
If he can get a tank,
Well, but he has a tank. That's the thing. He can run. Like, he leads hard up and down the ground. But what he
genuinely
can
surprised West Coast didn't play him at all.
he can play like a 5-minute roll on the ball, like Cherry has a chop
Yes.
out, and then let Cherry just run through. So I like that. But the flanks and the pockets is where we're sort of struggling a bit. Like Paul Curtis, Cam Zerha, Jackson Asher, Aiden Core, Luke McDonald.
I don't mind Paul Curtis.
Yeah, I think our guy Riley used to throw in the boundary throw-ins to us when we were down at Chaz, so shout out to Andy, the old man. I think he has some talent. I think he was captain of the WA under-18s. He will grow into a good player. He's got good ball use. But they're still a bit away. They're still a couple of years away from building. So
100%.
It's a building year for North. I think they're on the improve. You trust Clarko to install his knowledge and his game plan. The players will pick up. They were starting from scratch last year. They will improve, but they will still be in the bottom 4. I've got them second last, but that's not to say they won't improve. Even if they don't win more games than last year, like I said with Hawthorn, it doesn't mean they're not improving, because I think they're on a slow build.
Yeah.
Richmond are trying to fast track their build a different way. So North's rebuild is focused on bringing in older players to help improve. Uze has gutted the place, and we're going with kids, and we're all going to
kind of did that a few years ago.
They did, but like they've still got these older guys to help them through. When Richmond are going the other way. So look, I'm not all doom and gloom. I think they will play some good games. It's going to be tough for them to be competitive against the top sides. I think they stay competitive in games for patches, but their lapses, they really get blown up, and teams can put 4 or 5 on it really quick. And then it's hard for them to really stay in the mix from there.
So teams they played twice are Sydney, the Bulldogs, Carlton, Melbourne, Adelaide, Richmond.
It's a couple of good ones. There's a couple of stinkers there.
And you got to think that they did sell a game to play a home game over here against Freo. So that's going to hurt them as well. So like you think they'll probably lose both of them to Sydney, probably both to Carlton.
Yeah. Saints and Richmond, they're in the mix.
Well, no, it's the Dogs, Adelaide, and Richmond. No Saints there.
Okay. Well, Adelaide will be tough.
Adelaide will be tough. They should beat the Tigers.
Doggies. Who know what the Doggies will...
Yeah, let's give them a 1-on-1 for the Doggies. So all those games, they might only win 1, which is pretty tough. But I'm with you. A building, you can't look at North and go, oh, yeah, they're going to be pushing up the ladder, because they're not. The teams around them are going to be better than them. Do you think they can... 7 wins seems to be... a target for those bottom teams. Do you think they can win 7?
No.
No?
If I don't think West Coast can win 7, I don't think North can win 7.
Okay, so 5?
Yeah.
So they've got to have a target somewhere, right? They'll be going for 7 wins, and you know that there's always upsets, and they play okay in Tassie as well, do North Melbourne. So they might be able to pocket some there. I like their ins that they bought. Obviously, I love Caleb, so I reckon that's perfect for them, freeing up Sheasel, giving him more mid-times. So I'm happy that they did that. I hope Fish can get a proper run at it. He didn't get much at Carlton. He's one of my boys, so hopefully he can do pretty well. They're relying a lot on Cherry, though. Like a lot.
UDL as well.
Yeah, so Cherry hurt his knee the other day. There was a lot of panic about that. Obviously, people with fantasy, but if he goes down, who have they got? Darling.
Yeah.
Who's their backup rucker?
Charlie Comben could ruck. They've got Bryn Teakle.
Okay. Oh, yes, that's right. They're from East Perth. Yes.
Peel Thunder, I think, maybe.
But
Bryn Teakle, he
played last year.
He was playing. He was the mid-season pickup. He was playing some centre-half forward chop-out ruck. So I don't have him in with Darling there, but he is an option. Obviously, he's no Tristan Cherry, but he's an option.
Well, Cherry gives him so much more as well. He's like a second midfielder. He's rucking
and tackling. He's tackling and his clearances is awesome.
You got to have him. Probably third last for me. I think they can finish higher than West Coast. I just think West Coast is still. I'm not a hater on West Coast. I just think there's still a long way to go there. I think Richmond are further along than West Coast are.
Well, they've tried to, as I said, reboot the rebuild faster, and at least they haven't lost the passion.
Yes. Yeah. Let's go with Port. Port Adelaide. Let's go. I don't know what I was going to say there.
Rory Atkins trade Gold Coast for the Sample team. Wowzers. Benny Barrett, Category B rookie. Joe Berry, draft pick 15. Tom Cochrane, rookie draft. Jack Lukosius trade with the Gold Coast. Christian Murray, this guy looks like he can play a bit, pick 38. Jacob Moss, Category B rookie. Joe Richards, trade with Collingwood. Jack Whitlock, the other Whitlock, draft pick 33. Tom Cleary, delisted. Charlie Dixon, retired. Francis Evans, delisted. Dan Houston, trade to Collingwood. Kyle Marshall, delisted. Tom McCallum, delisted. Trent McKenzie, retired. Quinton Narkle, delisted, but then he Sam Powell-peppered over to Fremantle. Tom Scully, not the number one pick, but he is also delisted. Yep. They went from the 10th oldest to the 12th oldest, so you're losing Cleary, Dixon, Houston, and McKenzie, a bit of experience there. They were the 9th most experienced, now the 10th, so 24.3 average age, 71.1 average games. 100 games plus 13, 50 games or less, 21. Now, I did this list a while ago, and Zerk Thatcher has obviously been injured. So I had Burton, Zerk Thatcher, Logan Evans, Kane Farrell. He's on the way back to Alir, Miles Bergman, because I knew Radigalia was out, but then Zerk Thatcher out too. Yep. Burgoyne, Drew, Boak, Rioli, Lukosius, Horn, Francis, Berry, Georgiades, Burn Jones. I'm going with Sweet over Soldo, so Sweet, Butters, Rosie, Jones, Wines, Richards, Sin, and he's out too. I thought I had Powell-Pepper in, but he might still be not quite back yet from his knee.
Yeah, right. I thought he was training, but
I thought he was too, and I've got him there, but I'm like, I don't remember. But
he's a heart and soul. They need him.
I do need to cover Zerk Thatcher, but obviously we did this 3 weeks ago, and he's been injured. So I am looking at that side, and yes, their top end is very good.
Yes.
They finished, second on the ladder at the regular season.
Yep.
They finished, I think, 3rd overall on the ladder.
Yep.
Slippery, slippery, slippery slope.
Yeah.
They got very lucky with a couple of wins last year. Their forward line is taking a restructure. Lukosius is there. He's been playing a bit on the wing. Todd Marshall is out for the year. Radigalia is injured. Zerk Thatcher is injured. Where are all their tools coming from? Their backline basically has Alia.
Yep.
And that's it. So Burton is going to have to be like a second tall. That's not great. And then you go into the forward line, you got Georgiades. Like Lukosius they were playing him a bit on the wing in scratchies, but he's really their only other key forward. Yep. Now, no Dixon, no Marshall.
Yep.
Mosquito Fleet, they've got Barry in, who looks like a player. Joe Richards, Rioli, Burn Jones. Maybe Horn Francis doesn't get as much midfield time because they need him to play forward, a bit more Dangerfield sort of role, where he goes down there and goes, leave this, boys, I've got this, and where he dominates, because their midfield bats deep, obviously. Butters, Rosie, Drew, very good. Boak's good. They've got young kids with outside run, Burgoyne, Farrell, Bergman. But Ollie Wines, obviously, I couldn't forget Ollie Wines. Their midfield's strong, so maybe the horny one has to sit in the forward line.
Yeah,
I just find them hard to kick scores.
Enigma. Yeah.
And, Dixon was Dixon, right? But Marshall and Dixon at least were potent.
Yep.
Georgiades is the main guy now. Like, he's not quite ready to be. He's a good number 2 guy, but is he ready to be the big dog? Is he ready to get like the Harris Andrews, the Alex Pearces, the Harry Mackay?
Yeah.
I don't think he's ready for that yet.
Yeah.
And I think he's more of a leading forward. And I'm not too sure they don't have the stay-at-home big dog there to take a clump. Radigalia was playing a lot of forward last year, and when he comes back, he's going to have to play backline to cover that. And there seems to be a lot of holes in this side compared to where they were last year. And when they played finals, they beat Hawks. We weren't ready. They got shown up in that prelim.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to be as good this year. I think they're on the slippery slope. Can they make finals? Yes, they can. I've got them sliding from 2nd all the way down to 8th.
Yeah, fair call.
What do you think?
Well, teams they play twice: Sydney, Geelong, Hawthorn, Carlton, Freo, Adelaide.
That is almost as tough as it gets, because we've got Freo and Carlton and Adelaide on the up, and they're playing the top sides. Yeah. That is scary, scary, scary. If you're having a futures, Port to miss the finals might not be.
They lose all of those. That's how many?
That's 12 games.
It's 12 games lost. Wow. Jack Lukosius is playing his 7th year of AFL football. He has to It's like he has to do something. In fairness,
He wasn't getting played where he should have. At
no,
Gold
that's
Coast.
exactly what I was going to say. We were saying that they were playing him in the back line and all this sort of stuff, but he's 7 years in. He was drafted as a forward, and as we say about Aaron Norton, as we say about all these players, you drafted them where they played, play them there. So hopefully Lukosius can show something.
Well, he's going to have to.
He's going to have to help Georgiades out, and this is where you're 7 years in. You're the senior player. You've got to walk into this club. There's
and
no Charlie
Georgiades
Dixon.
is probably less than a year off of recall as well.
And Mitch Georgiades,
we like him. He's a good player.
They need to do a lot to keep him because I think there's a lot of WA teams that are licking their lips at the prospect of getting him.
I don't think Fremantle need him, to be fair.
But with Port Adelaide, as you said as well, their top end is very, very good. Their midfield is stacked.
And that's how it's sort of like the Aussies in the cricket. It's all about the midfield. They've got to win the games. And they definitely can. Jordan Sweet was good in patches last year, but Ivan Soldo, his missus want to leave, but he's staying apparently. So,
And as I said last year, their backline is...
Their backline, but it's their backline was fine last year. Yeah. It is a mess this year. Dan Houston out, Radagalier injured, Zirk Thatcher injured. That's half their starting backline. Burton was barely getting games. Like Kane Farrell goes right, but Logan Evans is a young kid. Bergman, Alira Leola. There's a lot of heavy lifting. Josh Sin might play back there as well. There's a lot of heavy lifting.
Zirk Thatcher's going to be the biggest out for them because that doesn't allow
Alira zone.
Yeah, to do that those intercept marks and then run off.
He's going to have to hard tag the Charlie Curnow / Oscar Allen,
just all
Souvlakis.
I'm with you. They're sliding for me. I'm 100% with you. I think they can make the 8, but if they miss the 8, I would at no point would I be like, oh my god, they finished second.
And
you're looking at this and you're going, they could miss finals, especially with those teams that they play twice.
That's what we spoke about last week. Is it okay to have a coaching succession plan?
Yes.
If they are struggling halfway through the year, bottom 10 can. What is the incentive to hang around?
Also, who's actually giving the messages? Like, if Josh Carr comes to you and starts talking to you and stuff, obviously they're going to be on the same team. But if stuff does start to go bad, like, it's a scary thing.
It seems a very strange time to announce it.
Yes.
When bottom 10 is under the park.
Koshi's a very strange cat, though, so Koshi does Koshi things. Anyway, so we're both in agreement with Port there. Then we move on to the Tigers.
Yeah, so...
Just any reason to play that?
TikTok on my clock. Jeez. Excuse me. All right, Tigers.
Yes.
A lot of young kids in here. Jasper Alger, pick 58. Harry Armstrong, pick 23. Jonty Fall, pick 14. Taj Houghton, coming off a Rico, pick 12. Sam Laylor now has a fractured jaw, as to Ruben Jimmy, pick 1. Thomas Sims, pick 28. Josh Smiley, Brownies guy. Guy Smiley.
Yes.
Pick 7. Luke Trainer, pick 21. A lot of young, fresh talent there. Outs. Liam Baker, trade to West Coast. Shea Bolton, trade Fremantle. Matthew Coulthard, delisted. Cumdog, Noah Cumberland, delisted. Jack Graham, trade West Coast. Dylan Grimes retired. Dustin Martin retired. Marley and Pickett trying to stay out of jail. Sam Naismith retired. Dan Rioli, trade Gold Coast. These stats are unbelievable. Last year they were the 4th oldest side.
This year.
They're now the 16th oldest side. 23.8. They were the 8th most experienced side. They are now the least experienced side. Pick. 52.7 games. No, doesn't take Einstein when I just read out those two lists. 100 plus games, 10. 30 players on the list under 50 games. Wowzers. So this is going to be an interesting get up here. I've got Noah Bolter in because he wasn't suspended by this stage. No, Nathan Broad, Nick Vlosten, Bolter, Jaden Short, Gibcus, Tom Brown. I'm probably going to input Caleb...
Tom Brown.
Yep. I'm probably going to input Caleb Smith back there. So we're going to have Caleb Smith, looks good on the ball. Broad, Vlosten, Short, Gibcus, Tom Brown. Not the worst there. Jack Cross, Taranto, Hugo Rouse. I did read Rouse Smith did a string or something. Or a groin. Might have done a groin, so I think he's out as well. I've started throwing some players around. So I've got Ryan Mansell, Ben Miller, he's sort of the backup ruck, going to play key forward. Sam Laylor, Rioli Jr., Tom Lynch, Seth Campbell. We're then going Nan Curvis, Prestia, Hopper, not Justin Kaczynski,
Jacob
Kazitsky. He's going to be the...
Is he going to get a game?
100%. He's going to be... He might be starting centre half back with Bolger, but he can sort of change around. I've got Sam Banks, and now I've just got some kids, so I'm chucking in Guy Smiley, Luke Traynor, Jonty Fall. There's probably other players who deserve spots, but I don't know where they're at. I didn't do a full deep dive into their players because I'm not quite 100% sure where they're at, but that's as grim as it gets. That's going to be last on the ladder. It's going to be a lot of tough games.
Is our boy, is it Liafa or whatever is that? Is he?
ACL, did his ACL. So they've got Noah Bolter, Judson Clark, Mike Kelty, Lafoe, and Tyler Young out long term. And Steely Green might be looking to get a game at some stage as well. But it's just really, really hard. Yeah. And the only problem I've got is that when you're a team down the bottom and you're struggling, you know, Eagles had Adam Simpson, North had Clarko, and Tigers have got Adam Uze, who has zero personality. When he gets interviewed, you're like, do you even care, bro? Like, he doesn't seem... I'm sure he's a fantastic tactician. He's really good at building relationships, and he's great with the players, but he suffers a bit of the Justin Longmuir-itis where he's very plain Jane.
Yep.
And when he talks, you're like, can you give me something? Can you show me that it actually hurts if you lose? And I struggle for that a bit with J-Lo. I think he's getting better, but I think Uze's in the same boat.
Yep.
Like, when you see, like, some of the bigger personalities, like a Chris Fagan or a Chris Scott, you know when they're angry and you know when they're happy. Like, and all the big dogs, like, you know, Clarko and all them, you know. But some of these inexperienced coaches, I don't think, like Sam Mitchell, fantastic player, knows the media, knows the game. Uze doesn't seem to give me that vibe. And when your team's going to rock up and get belted by like 10 goals regularly, you need to find the positives and you need to be able to sell a story to the reporters about we're on ground zero right now. We've got to climb up 54 flights of stairs to the summit, and this is floor 2, and we might be stuck here for a while. We might have to tie up our shoelaces. We might have to take a few weeks to get up the next set of stairs. But this is all part of the greater good and all part of the plan. You need to become the best car salesman going around.
For sure.
And you need to sell hope, you need to sell the future, and you need to have a brand, and you need to stand for something. And if you're getting smashed, you need your senior players, you need your Nathan Broads, you need your Nick Vostons, you need your Tom Lynches to... If you're getting smashed, you need to stamp your authority and go, we're not a pushover, we're dinkum. And that's just what I'm worried about. Like, a lot of these guys have won a flag. Hopper and Taranto got brought in to keep them competitive, and now they're the key of the rebuild. Like, that's tough. Tom Lynch has won his flags as well. Like, Nankervis is obviously going to be very key to them. Their midfield is good, but the meatball Presti gets hurt a lot. Hopper gets hurt a lot. Taranto, like, it's tough. It's tough this year to sell hope, but the hope is all those young kids look fantastic, and
the future
some are going to kick off right now.
Yeah.
Some might be 3-year projects, so it's going to take 3 to 4 years to build. Will Uze survive? Unlikely, but if they're bottom of the ladder for the next 2 years, you just have to be okay with that, and that's a high probability. But who's to say next year, the back end of next year, they start to couple of pre-seasons, build their bodies, build their tanks, build their legs, and start to improve. All you want to see is every week they have a crack. And if you have a crack and lose by 20 goals, that's okay. If you don't have a crack and lose by like 8 goals and you're insipid, well, that is not okay. But I think if you're Richmond, you have a happy smile on your face right now because you're like, yep, hey, at least we've got a plan.
It's been a long time on Richmond,
but at least we've got a plan.
Yeah.
And we're doing something rather than trying to plug the gaps. The Band-Aid's off and the wound is gaping and we're going to let it heal.
May as well do it now with Tassie coming in as well. Smart move by him. Teams they played twice.
Very good point.
Teams they played twice. Geelong, Essendon, Saints, Gold Coast, West Coast, North. Listen,
it's not too bad.
They're going to finish last. And
more than likely.
I think it's inevitable. What's interesting is I do wonder when they can get their first win, and I think it might be against West Coast when they play at home. It's the only thing, again, on West Coast fans, I'm not having a go here, but the week after they play North at home as well, which is another opportunity.
North will smoke them.
Yeah, the only thing, I'm trying to find positives here for Richmond. If they do have Tom Lynch. They do have Broad. They do have Vossen, as you said. They do have Hopper and Taranto. They've got these. Purvis. Yeah, they've got these guys that are solid AFL players and have played. And as you said, some of them have won premierships.
Yeah,
it's not horrible for them. It's
just a little grim.
Yeah, they're not going to win many games, and I think that's quite obvious. Before we move on, it's not obviously you got opening round, then you got round one, the traditional game of Richmond Carlton. It's going to be a game where nobody wants to tune into because everyone knows the narrative, everyone knows what's going to happen. Carlton should win that game by about 10 goals.
No. 20 goals.
Yeah, okay.
Charlie Curnow should just about kick 10.
So is that when the AFL should go, hey guys, listen, we're not going to put you here. We might put you on Saturday afternoon.
But I think the thing is, opening round one is not the first game anymore. Yes. So the tradition was they were the Thursday night, the first game of the season. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Scrap it.
Yeah. Anyway, we move on to the Saints.
Speaking of teams that are battling, gee willikers. This team might be completely decimated from when I said this. So, Eamon Armstrong, Category B rookie. James Barrett, draft pick 32. Hugh Boxall, one of my guys, draft pick 45. Harry Boyd, SSP, Sam Powell-Pepper, might be getting a game. Jack Carroll, delisted free agent from Carlton. Alex Dodson, another ruckman, pick 53. Jack McRae, trade from the Western Bulldogs. Patrick Said, draft pick 60. The Viking, Alex Toru, pick 10. Toby Travaglia, pick 8. Outs, Matthew Allison delisted, Josh Battle trade Hawthorn, Riley Bonner delisted, Tom Campbell free agent Melbourne, and he could get a game too. Brad Crouch retired off doing finance, Jack Hayes delisted, Ollie Houghton delisted, Tim Memory delisted, Sam Powell-Peppered over to Collingwood, Ben Patton delisted, Seb Ross delisted, James Van Esch delisted. So, bit of age taken off that list there. They were the 10th oldest last year. Equal 14th oldest this year, 23.9 average age. They were the 11th most experienced, now the 15th, so a bit of experience has dropped off there. 66.6 average games. 13 players 100 plus, 22 under 50. Now, I've tweaked this around. It's a bit of a dog's breakfast. Tell me how close this is to what you think, because for the listeners at home, Brownie is a Saints fan.
Supporter.
Back pocket to Caminiti. Callum Wilkie, Ari Shellmaker, Jack Sinclair, Liam Stocker, Wangani Miller Mason Wood, Winhager, Hunter Clark, Jack Carroll, Machito Owens, Brad Hill, Jack Higgins, Max King, Cooper Sharman, Rowan Marshall, Jack McRae, Jack Steele, interchange Darcy Wilson, Hugo Garcia, Toby Travaglia, Harry Boyd as the backup ruck. And I just chucked in Zach Jones because I was really running on fumes. We've got long-term outs, Liam Henry, Paddy Dow, Dougal Howard, Viking Turo, and Matthias Filippo.
Yeah.
How did I go there? Was I missing anyone?
Don't mind that.
Stocker has to play key back without Howe Dougal.
Missing Dougal's a big out there. I'm trying to think if you're missing it. Not that I can...
Henry Dow, Filippo, nowhere.
What about the Saints got this backup ruckman in?
Harry Boyd.
He's
in.
You got him in?
He's the backup ruck. He's in.
Because that can help
Roy
go forward.
Out. And you don't want Cooper Sharman or Machito chopping out.
I don't want the Max King in there either. No. So, yeah. I don't mind
Not
that.
bad. Not bad. Like, it's just tough. Like Darcy Wilson, Hugo Garcia, Travaglia, some good young kids.
Yeah.
Do you play Jack Sinclair midfield or backline? I had him in the backline.
I think with Jack McRae in, I think
so. You'd have Wood, Brad Hill, Hunter Clark running on the outside. McRae and Darcy Wilson. Sorry, McRae.
I'll probably push Wood forward. He's a good kick at goal and he's a good mark. I'd have him not full forward or anything like that. I'd have him like on a high half forward.
So you'd
Robbie Gray.
Okay, so I had Brad Hill playing that role. So you'd put Brad Hill more on the wing.
I would swap those two. Yep.
Okay. Hunter Clark, he can play some run.
I would.
Because you sort of need him, right?
Hunter Clark's last crack at it, really. He might be KO'd 2 minutes into the game.
I'm giving Hugo Garcia a bit of game time. I thought he showed a bit last year.
I like Hugo Garcia.
You've got to play him over like the Zach Jones of the world.
Yep. I don't hate Jack. I don't hate Zach Jones because
past it, isn't he?
But he gives us. He's an in and under ball getter that can get feeded out. He's not
But if you got
greatest
Windhager,
player.
Steele, and McRae, that's a lot of in and under.
Yeah, but I mean, he filled a hole when Windhager went down as well. We missed Windhager a lot last year.
Yep.
So hopefully,
And look, Jack Sinclair can play in there.
Yeah.
So you can swing. You might even swing Mason Wood or Hunter Clark to the back flank.
Yep.
Get Darcy Wilson on the wing.
Yeah, well, Darcy Wilson's another one.
Yeah,
He's
a lot of
got
run.
some speed. That kid.
Yeah, see, still dark over the grade final sprint.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
On Darcy Wilson. So, look, it's pretty grim for the Saints. Ross the boss, I'm not quite sure what he's going to do. He has some structure there to work with, but I don't have them making finals. I've got them about 11th. Look, we watched that game against West Coast last year, and West Coast were bad. Saints were as bad.
That was a horrible game of
They
footy
managed
to watch.
to win, but then we saw them play. Who did they play? They're playing. We're at the Camfield. It was after the Freo game or
Port?
before the Freo game, and they smoked them.
Yeah.
They absolutely smoked them.
Yeah.
Yin and yang. Look, I'm not that bullish on them. How are you?
Well, they finished 10th last year. I think that's about right. The thing
Have they gotten better? No, have they?
But I don't think, to be honest, I don't think they've gotten worse. I know injuries.
Yeah.
I get that, but Philippou's our biggest injury at the moment.
Yeah.
But
Dougal's pretty bad too.
Near the end of the year,
he showed a bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's your other inside mid.
But Dougal as well, he was kind of in and out of the side last year. So, listen,
he had battle though, remember?
Yeah,
So no
that's
battle.
very true. But I don't know, just something inside me, it just says you have to trust Ross. And I know that that's a stupid thing to say, but if we can play boring footy and shut teams down, the thing about the Saints, right, is if we can play that game style that Ross shuts teams down, doesn't let them score, we've got so much run that if we can switch it and just like one piercing kick and move it quickly down the ground, which for some reason Ross doesn't like to do, we can win games. And that's where the frustration is. And we've got people like Schoenmakers, his kicking is elite, and he needs to play more footy. But I don't know. I sigh every time they come on. 2 minutes into the game, it's like, okay. And then, like, they beat Carlton last round when Carlton needed to make finals. They came out of nowhere. I don't know. To be honest, I'm a Saints fan, and I don't even know. I hope for the best. I don't think we're going to play finals if we are thereabouts at round 26 or however many rounds there are now.
Yeah.
I will be happy. If we finish below 12th, I won't be happy.
I think that is definitely...
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. A possibility. I think it's a possibility too, but I will be pretty disappointed, if I'm being honest. Anyway.
Be prepared to be disappointed. Now, before we move on.
Yes.
Hit the music.
This music? That music?
No, this music.
Yeah, that music. Yeah.
Expelliarmus.
You're a wizard.
Picks it up, goes in towards full forward, and Palmer! Oh, Wizard, be careful!
You're about to take nothing, wouldn't you, boys?
Oh, you just never know where the whiz. At the back was the Wizard. He could have been held. Play on, Robertson does. He gives it to the Wizard. 46 out. He can smell a goal. He can smell it.
All right.
Still looking for teams.
We are. So, listeners, we're at 14 for our listener fantasy footy league. Yep. So, we're still awaiting a few to come back from last year. So, Tim's Tips is not in.
Nope.
Ferrari is not in. Nope. So, they're out. Forey hasn't returned just yet. Yeah. Is Ducky in yet?
Yeah, I think Duck's in.
Duck's in. Anyone else? A couple of others.
The Big Dog's back.
Big Dog is back. So, if you want in on our fantasy league, and if you buy one in, you can see this hat I've got on. So, for the people that aren't familiar with fantasy, this way, that way.
That's got your number.
It is.
It looks like number 3, but it's 30
37. So, when you finish top 100 in AFL fantasy, you get one of these bad boys. So, many moons ago, I think 2019, I finished 37th, and I've got a hat. So, me and Brown put a team in, so the front centre pod. So, you have to go up against the two-time champion, which is Koss. So,
the Greek man.
Someone needs to knock Koss off. So,
there he is.
And if you're in the comp, we shout you out every week. We go through the teams, we go through the games, we give everyone nicknames, and we have a bit of fun with it. So
I'm going to bring some more AFL fantasy stuff this year. I'm going to ask you some more questions. We're going to have a little buy and sell segment. Who you're buying and selling each week.
Okay.
You've got infinite money, and
Yeah.
who's going to play? Who do you think is going to play
Yeah.
well? Not specifically on our team, just
In
across
general.
the AFL.
Okay.
We might not be able to afford to players, and who are you selling, and who are you just holding for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So buy, sell, and hold
All right.
is what we'll talk about.
And
when
then
we
we've
come to
also got the fantasy wizards who are going to
Yes.
grace you with their tipping talents to try and build some money. So
Hopefully-
they did get better last year. But
2 wins last year. I
yeah,
think.
Timmy's tips had 3 last year, so he's still ahead of them. But speaking of, I tried to help him last week, Tim's tips.
Well-
I told him someone to tip. He didn't. He went another way. And what do you know? What happens in soccer, Scott?
It's draws all the time.
Correct. And that's what cost him.
Well, we have known Timmy this week. He messaged me and says, "Do you want my tips this week?" I said, "No, hold. We're going to get you live EPL tips on Saturday."
Okay.
So we're getting live Timmy's
Doesn't
tips
help
on
the
Saturday.
listeners.
That's all. I think it does because they don't have to put up
Yeah,
with listening to it unless they're there.
Well, I think they want to hear the tip, 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 tip. Everyone loves the song.
What they want to hear is this.
Right.
And I have a question to ask you after this, and it's a
Oh,
very
God.
important question because we got to do some business and we got to win some more money right here.